Hello folks, welcome to another video outside. It is a nice, actually, I have a feeling here in Texas, spring has come early for us. So today, I'm outside smoking Montecristo, is it now? Montecristo Platinum Series. And this is a nice cigar. It is a, Montecristo is the, I guess, higher end brand. But this one is not a strong cigar. It is a light cigar, brown. And of course, I'm out here because it is warm, and it's about mid-60s. And for this week, and I'm pretty sure from here on forward, it's going to be warm, mid-60s to 70, and darn it, almost forgot. Got my Sam's. Speaking of the bulk wholesaler, of course, in the news. Folks in California, Oregon, Washington State are making a run for, I guess you call it panic buying. They're making a run for the store, emptying the shelves. What I don't get is, they're stocking up on TP, toilet paper. Hit this one spot here that's just not igniting. There it goes. Now I don't know if if their plan is they're gonna be selling that, or because the most gonna happen is kind of like in China, where it's 3 to 4 weeks, and my energy drink. My grape drink. Yeah, so the most going to happen is, 3 to 4 weeks where you'll need extra supplies in case it comes down to where the recommendation is not to leave your house. So if you do buy a okay, I guess if you have a family of 4, then you may need a couple of packages of toilet paper to last you a month. But normally one of those let's call that normally you'll see on the package, you'll say 20 row equals 24. So if you buy a 20 pack or a 20 row or 20 row package, that should last a family of 4 at least 3 weeks, if not a month. Of course, paper towel. You definitely want paper towel, because if you're washing your hand, you don't want to be using a kitchen towel or a rag to dry your hand, because then you're just reinfecting yourself with the dirty rag. Lighter before it falls over. And of course there's this I guess controversy over masks here in the West, because over in Asia, even the doctor recommends it. If you're sick, wear a mask. Or if you ride public transportation, or you're going to be in places where it's wintertime and there's going to be out in public, if you feel like it, go ahead and wear a mask. And of course, over in Asia, it is customary for people who are sick or just don't want to catch a sickness out in public to wear a mask. And their stores do sell a lot more masks than here, way more masks than here in the U.S. And of course, just like anything, if everybody makes a mad dash to go buy masks, it's kind of like TP over in over in the West Coast in California, Oregon, and Washington, where everybody's making a mad dash and buying up all of the, toilet paper. I guess there was a news article where I guess the news team went to Costco, and yeah, the shelves were empty of water, empty of toilet paper, and I guess empty of disinfectants like Lysol and stuff like that. I've already got all of that. And of course, here in Texas, we have the Wuhan evacuee who was in quarantine in California for 14 days. They didn't show any symptoms. Of course, this isn't really the government's fault, because this is before it came to knowledge that the incubation period could be longer than 14 days. And of course, the Chinese news is reporting that all of the evacuees from Wuhan to the U.S., all of them are infected. And of course, here in the U.S., I haven't heard any news other than that lady that went from California to San Antonio turned out to be infected. But the Chinese news is reporting that all of the evacuees, at least to the U.S., are infected. But I haven't heard anything from our news. But again, our news, our government could be, just like the Chinese, not as transparent. But of course, in my case, this lady, she went to San Antonio, she went to the store, went to the mall, went to restaurants. And of course, there's going around the internet where they're calling these people who are asymptomatic corona zombies. Because what is a zombie? A zombie is a creature that is infected. It itself doesn't know it's infected, and the virus that has infected the zombie has is causing the zombie to infect other people unknowingly, because the zombie doesn't know that it's purposely infecting other people. So that's what's happening with folks who are asymptomatic, who are infected, and they're walking around like a corona zombie, infecting other people. And yes, the relatives in China are saying that as of this week, they still have no mask at the store. I believe they do have like mass distribution centers, or if you go to a hospital, you can get masks. But if you go to the store, they're all out. Any of the factories or any of the manufacturers who are making masks, of course, is going to hospitals first. So of course, back to here in the U.S., the mask controversy. We're getting medical professionals telling people, hey, you don't need masks. We have the Surgeon General coming out talking about, would you people please stop buying masks? It doesn't work. Don't wear any. Having said that, turn around and then you got doctors saying the same thing. Hey, people, please stop buying masks. You don't need it. It doesn't work. Oh, and by the way, we need it when we treat sick patients. Which of course is double talk. It's like saying, you don't need it for your protection, but we need it for our protection. And of course I'm on the side of the people who is pro-mask. Hey, if you got it, or if you can get your hands on it, use it. And of course, there was a story of some hospital in Denver that had a whole bunch of boxes of N95 masks that was swiped from their inventory. They're saying somebody went into the hospital and stole those masks. More than likely, that story, now that I think about it, it's probably an employee an employee or someone who's not like a doctor or a nurse or someone who works at the hospital. Because if you don't work there, you're not really going to know where they keep these masks. Yeah, and the masks they stole were the N95, because the hospitals you have uh, the regular garb mask, which is the cloth, and then you have the N95, which is the more protective. And those are the ones that doctors and nurses are going to be wearing when they take care of sick coronavirus patients. They're not going to be wearing the regular garb that the cloth one. And of course, I ordered some masks myself. It's not the N95 one. And of course, it's coming. I ordered it off of Amazon, but of course, it's coming from China. And again, I'm supposed to get it between the dates of the 24th of February and the 8th of March, and I don't think I'm going to get it anytime soon. So I might have to go on Amazon, cancel my order. But of course, I gotta wait till after the 8th. It's like, hey, Amazon, I haven't gotten my order. Please give me a refund. And Amazon, they're good about refunds. They really, the only thing that I would say that one category that they need is that the box was tampered with and the product fell out. Or they need to have a category where the product, because I've had it a few times, where the box arrived, and basically the item was, the box was tampered with, and the item inside was stolen, and I don't think they even have like when you do your return or ask for a refund, or they ask you to choose what happened, or why you're returning or asking for a refund. Now, I think they do have one that says item never arrived, but the problem is, of course, if you're honest, which I am, the item, well, the box arrived, but technically the item never arrived. So I guess next time if that happens, I'll choose never receive the package. But technically, yes, I've received a package, but I didn't receive an item. And I've been burned by Amazon both times where that happened, because they don't have a category where, yeah, I got the package, but I didn't get the stuff in the package. Yeah, and luckily they weren't expensive. They were like $20-something items. But still, you're okay. This is canoeing. It's not even windy out here. Let me fix it. There we go. So my opinion is that the U.S. government, medical professionals, are doing the same thing that the Chinese government were doing, which is not taking it seriously until shit hits the fan, and then of course the Chinese, they're able to go full draconian because they're communists, and they've got their hammer. They basically put the hammer down on their people. Even right now, the order is, if you don't, the order is still there. If you don't have to go out, stay in your home. Of course, if you're going to work, schools are still closed. But if you're going to work, stuff like that, yes. But if you're going to go out and walk, for a walk, or walk your dog, or go see your buddy, the recommendation is to stay home. Yeah, so if you got mask, definitely use it. Don't listen to the, there's no wind today, so the smoke is like just hanging around. And it's okay if you, I don't really choke if I breathe in the smoke that's hanging around. It's just that if you inhale smoke directly from the cigars, when it, and of course the death range, the death age range is pretty much 65 on up. But I know I'm reading comment threads and stuff like that, and people, hey, I'm young, I'm not worried, bring it on, I'll survive. Why are people so worried about this? It's nothing but a flu virus. It is a flu virus, but number one, it's more contagious than the flu virus. Number two, it had none of the flu treatments works on coronavirus. So if you get it, you know, it's all on your immune system if you live or die. It's not a bad cigar. This is a Toro size, which is I guess probably about the largest size I actually want to smoke. Don't want to go to the Churchill size. And it's still freaking canoeing. Yeah, and don't be afraid to touch up your cigar if it is canoeing, because you're like, man, I don't want to waste that. You know, I don't want to waste that cigar by burning it, but you know, it's you're not smoking it anyways because it's canoeing, and just go ahead and burn that extra piece of unburnt cigar. You'll make, and of course, eventually it will catch up to where it's not canoeing anymore, and you'll enjoy the smoke a little bit more. Nice, good cigar, and I definitely recommend Montecristo. If you can get your hands on some Montecristo. If it's on sale, definitely grab them. If they're not, they're going to cost you a little bit more. It's not an arm and a leg, but they'll cost you a little bit. So in my case, hopefully, they said the lady who's infected in San Antonio is in her 40s. And speaking of the age range of people dying, people, at least over in China and South Korea, there are people who are under 65 who are dying from the infection. And these are people who don't have any underlying issues like diabetes or heart disease or obesity or I'm trying to think of bronchitis, but bronchitis, you already have an infection if you got bronchitis, but asthma. And of course, here in the U.S., we have about a 60 to 70% obesity rate in our adults. So, unlike the Chinese, most of the Chinese, South Koreans, they are on the thinner side. I would say, they're probably a little bit healthier than Americans, even eat healthier than we do. Even though we make fun of the Chinese or Asians eating weird food, but it's still healthier than Western food. Yes, it may be weird, but it's healthier. Now close it on this. All of those, all of the pre-processed food that we eat that comes in cans, or microwave dinner, fast food. If you think you're getting meat from your hamburger at McDonald's or Burger King, you're getting a little bit of meat, but from what I read, it's about 30% meat and then 70% others. And of course, now scientists are coming out with artificial meat. That's of course, it's soy. Now we've had soy meat for decades, but suppose this is a non-soy based fake meat that they're coming out with. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure a lot of that has already been put into our food, or fast food. So, so if you're eating, bats and dogs and snakes, at least you're getting real meat. Unlike us guys here, unless us folks here in the U.S. who's, of course, I try to avoid burger joints, fast food joints as much as possible. But of course, if you work, unless you cook food and take it, which I do sometimes, unless you cook food and take it to work with you, if you forget or you get lazy, you got no choice but to go buy a burger or some form of fast food. Sit-down restaurant, you don't, a 1 hour lunch period, you don't really have time to go to a sit-down restaurant. If I do that, what I'll do is I'll call ahead of time, or I'll just go there, order as a takeout, and that's what most people do, is order for sit-down restaurants. They'll order as a takeout, Yes, and drink plenty of water. Okay, let me see what else I have before I close it out, if I can think of anything else. Oh yeah, and I am on the side of folks who said this is more than likely a man-made virus. Some were saying that this, it was made by the U.S., the CIA, and the CIA infected the Chinese. They infected the Iranian. Yeah, they're saying that about the 10th of the Iranian what's called that? I guess 1 out of 10 Iranian top officials, one has already died, is infected with coronavirus. I'm thinking, well, you know what? This Israel should be celebrating. I guess the coronavirus is doing something that the U.S. and Israel couldn't do for decades. Take down the Iranian government, and I wouldn't be surprised one bit at all if this coronavirus was invented in some lab by the CIA, and then they, because a lot of people, and then there's the other camp saying, hey, the Chinese invented the coronavirus, and they accidentally unleashed it on themselves, which I wouldn't put it past the Chinese. It could be some lab worker transporting it, and it's kind of like in the movie Resident Evil. No, actually in Resident Evil, it was a guy that went into the lab that purposely unleashed the, or it could be that too. It could be some guy who knows that, hey, there's this really bad infectious virus, or maybe he's an ex-employee, a disgruntled ex-employee that still have access to the lab, goes in, kind of Resident Evil style, takes the virus, goes out into the public, or he infects himself and goes out into the public. Yeah, because they're saying that what they're calling patient zero is that person hasn't been to the seafood market. They haven't been around wild animals or any animals at all. They don't have cats or dogs at home. They haven't been around animals, so they don't know how that person, that patient zero got infected. So I guess to all the conspiracy theorists, which does point to the virus being purposely made and purposely or accidentally released, either purposely by the government, purposely by a disgruntled lab worker, or accidentally by a clumsy lab worker who probably got himself infected and didn't know, and if that's the case, of course, the Chinese government is not going to come out and say that, hey, one of our lab workers accidentally infected himself and unleashed the virus. Now, if they do find that out, they're not going to say it. It would be the same in the U.S. if that was the case. Whereas the CIA, of course, the U.S. government going to come out, yeah, man, it's the CIA. They unleashed it on China, unleashed it on Iran, and and everyone's speaking of Africa, like, oh man, you know what? Africa seems like the safest place to be right now because it's the last place that hasn't shown any infection. Of course, you got infections in Nigeria now. Because in Africa you got, I say, some of the more advanced countries out of Africa would be Nigeria, and South Africa. They probably have CT scans in Nigeria, because the CT scan is, I guess, the frontline scanner that uses to check to see if you have the infection in your lung. I forgot the medical term for it. It's something like a clear, cluster glass, something glass, or opaque glass density. I think it's the medical term for it. It's basically they scan your lung, and there's like clusters of clear area that's like a opaque, but just I guess it looks like, I guess they call it that because it looks like crushed glass. that's clustered in your lungs. So yeah, so us Americans, we're in for the rude awakening, because there's a lot of us who are diabetic. Definitely lots of us who are obese. There's a lot of unhealthy people in the U.S. And the government had already said, if they're not charging, or hospitals should not be charging people for a coronavirus test. They shouldn't be charging people for coronavirus treatment. So if you come down with flu-like symptoms and you're like, man, you know what, I need to go get checked out, then I guess the state will pay for it. And of course, here in Texas, the city of San Antonio has launched a lawsuit against the U.S. government. They probably won't win for the handling of the Wuhan evacuee that they released from California, who came back home to San Antonio. That's the weird thing. San Antonio doesn't really have a huge Asian population, but we don't know if this lady is of Hispanic descent, or if she is of Asian or Chinese descent. More than likely, it's a Chinese lady, or it could be a white lady. But yeah, but San Antonio is about 80% Hispanic, so more than likely it might be a. But the race though doesn't matter. Yeah, as you can see, it's canoeing. The ash is kind of crawling up. But I'm fixing it as best as I can. Yeah, so San Antonio. So I guess if you're in Texas, stay away from San Antonio. And of course, the problem is Dallas is about a 5-hour drive from San Antonio. So one of the Corona zombies, could get in a car. If there is someone like me who's visiting San Antonio, got infected by one of those Corona zombies, then you come back to Dallas. That's like not even 5 hours, not even a day's drive. Someone could leave, go down there the same day, and come back the same day on a business trip. So if you can work from home, work from home. Self-quarantine. I guess I would. I guess I wouldn't want to panic, but I also want to side on the side of caution. So so if you don't have to really go out, I guess stay home. Go when you come home from work, come home from school, wash your hand. I've been doing that already for years. Where the first thing I do when I come home from work, I come home from the grocery, is I wash my hand. As I mentioned in other videos, when you come home from work and you wash your hand, I've noticed that the water is like brackish. It's like a brown, dusty. Yes, and if you haven't already gotten some, go get some Dow antibacterial soap. They come in liquid form. I bought the bar. And of course, I have my already have hand sanitizers to begin with, so I'm good. Well, that's it. And and again, in Washington State, they had. I guess I'll close on this, since I'm still thinking of things. In Washington State, they had the old folks' home where 6 people have passed away. Some 27 firefighters and 2 police officers are more than likely infected. And those 29 people, the police officers and the firefighters, responded to other calls, and they've also gone home. So more than likely, they've probably infected the other people that they responded to. Probably infected their wives and kids. You don't have to kiss. I mean, you can be. Because in a home you are in close proximity. Whether you kiss someone or not, you're still in close proximity when you're at home. So more than likely, and I haven't heard anything from the Washington State authorities talking about the family members of the firefighters and the police officers should self-quarantine. And that's an extra step that they should do, because if any of those firefighters infect their wives or their kids, and their wife and kids are going to school, now you got an epidemic on your hand. Because the local news is saying that a lot of the firefighters are coming down with flu-like symptoms. Yeah, and they're also saying that a lot of people who were walking around 2 to 3 weeks already in that area that were infected, basically corona zombies. And the city name is Kirkland, Washington, or Kirkland, Washington State. And I don't know where that city is in Washington State. But we'll see what happened. And of course, if you are young, under 65, don't take it for granted that because you're young, you're going to survive. And I'll end it on that. Thank you, guys.